This week, the refresh 2025 Honda Civic Si has been my daily driver. It's been an amazing car to run the kids around without me falling asleep at the wheel because I'm actually engaged with this manual transmission and this fun to drive little sedan. Today, we're gonna review the Honda Civic Si, and we just happen to be at the airport. It's a great place to get some great views you guys can see. So we're at the airport doing a little walk around, and then we'll get in and start driving the Honda Civic Si. And man, the more I drive this car, the more I really enjoy it, the more I fall in love with it. So let's start with some of the changes for 2025. Well, since we're looking at the wheels here, these wheels are a new design, these 5 split spoke wheels. They're kind of a matte finish. I like having the little SI badge right here. It's a nice little, I don't know, Easter egg with these 18-inch wheels. They have added structural bracing to the B-pillar area as well as around the outsides of the rear seats. So they have revised the suspension to account for the increased rigidity here. Up front, well, the grille and the front bumper I wasn't a big fan of when they introduced this. I still think the previous generation looks better, or should I say the pre-refresh looks better, but it's growing on me. The chin implant is growing on me, and I got a wave from a pre-refresh Honda Civic Si on the road as well. So gotta appreciate the little Si badge here. The headlights have not changed for 25, even though the front bumper and the small little mesh grille there has. As we come around to the back, we have a nice black spoiler here, as well as darkened tail lights. They're kind of smoked out. If you guys can tell the difference, I really can't tell the difference. I'd have to have a pre-refresh versus the post-refresh side by side to tell the difference between the smoked tail lights and whatnot. Huge trunk, even though this is a smaller sedan. Not quite as much room as the Accord, of course, but Accord is a snooze fest compared to this car. Under the hood of the Civic Si, well, this is carryover. 1.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder. It does have VTEC. It is mated exclusively to a manual 6-speed transmission here on the Si. It's rated at the upper 20s to mid 30s fuel economy, whether it's in town or on the highway. Again, we're going to fill that up today at the end of this review to see if we're going to be getting those numbers. But 200 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque here on the Civic Si. If we get into the back, the kids have been, well, it hasn't been the easiest to buckle them because of just these chunky booster seats, but if I had a bunch of bubble bums, I'm not sponsored by them, maybe one day, if I had a bunch of these that are smaller, more compact, and more portable, then they would have had no problem buckling up back here. But they were getting better at it as the week went on, and I have plenty of leg room back there as well. I don't think there are any changes to the back here for 25. We still don't have vents back here, for example. We don't have USBs. And luckily the AC blows cold from up front because they don't have vents back there. So this is kind of a carryover from the previous or pre-refresh. It's kind of like this black and red checker on the seats as well as the doors. Civic Si badge. These seats are fantastic, super comfy. I love that they're cloth, very breathable. Manual seats here, which shouldn't be a problem because most people are not going to be swapping spouses or partners in this car. They're going to be, well, it's just kind of like one driver sort of car. But let me know if you guys have ran into issues with it not having memory seats or power seats. To me, once it's set, I'm ready to go. All right, new for 2025 is the shift meter. Well, it's not gonna show it because I'm not in gear, but there's a shift meter there, fully digital screen, which I think the pre-refresh may have been just half digital. Correct me if I'm wrong. Also new for 25 is an upgraded screen. So we have Google built in here. You can see a satellite map, which is pretty cool. I prefer to not do satellites, a little too busy. But I also have a shortcut here for Android Auto. And so you have wireless Android Auto, you have wireless Apple CarPlay, and it's a freaking awesome. You can see I'm not even wired in. Also new are these USB ports up here, 2 USB-Cs. However, they charge ridiculously slow. When I looked at how much current they were pulling, it was only like 6 to 7 watts of power from each of these. So that's kind of a bummer. There's also no wireless charger. However, for 2025, they did add heated seats here. And they've added, if I change here, I think they added this individual mode, I believe for 2025. Honestly, I've been driving in normal mode. Driving modes when you have a manual transmission seems a bit silly to me. They also upgraded the Honda sensing here. So we have better lane tracing technology, better radar cruise control, that sort of thing, better pedestrian detection. Other than that, it's very much the same vehicle through and through. I like having auto brake hold, which is great for car line and stop and go traffic. We're going to fill this vehicle up today at the end of the review to see what the fuel economy is, because I want to see if like it's really worth getting the Civic Hybrid over this, because they're priced similar, around $30,000. This after destination's $31,000. And so I actually made a little shortcut here for my fuel economy. This trip, it was up to 35 miles per gallon, but I'm idling here. And it does have start-stop engine technology, which you can disable. But yes, anyways, it was up to 35 miles per gallon on this current drive. Now, I've been driving exclusively in town and been doing a lot of car line, which unless you're in a hybrid, it absolutely kills your fuel economy. So I'm seeing about 28.7 overall. And when I've been driving a little bit more conservatively on trip B here, it's a little over 30 miles per gallon. So we're gonna verify that at the pump today. We also have a sunroof, which is carryover. We also have the 12-speaker Bose sound system, which sounds great in here, which is a carryover from the pre-refresh as well. So the rear windows are not automatic, only the front windows. But I'm ready to start driving the Honda Civic Si. That's one of the, well, that's why you get this car, because you enjoy driving. So let's get into it. That's about as fast as you can shift the Honda Si, the Civic Si here. Even though for the when they redesigned this 11th generation, even if it's new for 2025, we still have rev hang here. So I got to get that out of the way. That's the first thing to address. So if you want to shift fast, if you want this car to be a fast car, this is probably not for you. This car though, well, it's still an enthusiast car. It handles like it's on rails. Again, in Florida, I don't have much for that, but anytime I could catch a green arrow or a right-hand turn, a sweeping right-hand turn, I take it with speed, and the kids just deal with it. But most of the time, I'm in straight roads, and the handling and the suspension here, I actually just enjoy being in this car all the time. But back to the shifting here. There's rev hang, and if you want to hustle through the gears, the Civic Si, see, here we go. We do have auto rev matching downshifts here. So here we go, catching this. Love the brakes. Of course, the brakes are oversized. Oh man, oh gosh. And then you have that rev hang. So I have not been driving it that spirited this week, and you might be saying, Kirk, why get the Si if you can't drive spirited? Well, you're not always going to be maxing this thing out, and when you are, let's say 5% of the time, yeah, maybe you can deal with a little bit of rev hang. I do like having the shift lights here that are taken from the Type R. I think that's a fun addition here. To avoid the rev hang, you kind of just have to drive this like an old man, nonchalant, slow shifts from gear to gear. And so it's a learning experience, I would say. I would say this, however, since I'm stuck at a stoplight, I remember starting the Civic Si from a stop, getting into first gear. Remember that being difficult on previous models. I feel like it's much easier now. Maybe I'm just more familiar with this vehicle, but it's not as punishingly difficult to smoothly get this. There's a guy here on the Sauron, it seems like. No? Anyways, this guy's too cool to sit down. Oh man, people. Yeah, you have to take your time shifting from gear to gear. I enjoy it. It kind of meets me where I'm at in my life right now as I take my time doing things. I'm I'm in my mid-30s. I have a bunch of kids. Yes, my life is anything but like slow. It's always fast, but like personality-wise, I've slowed down a bit. And so I do enjoy the Civic Si, but every once in a while, when I want to rod it, I am reminded that I have that rev hang. Outside of that, if you want to avoid it and shift fast, you have to shift like around 2,500 RPM. I can't do that regularly. I still rev to 3,000 to 4,000 RPM in first gear. I don't like short shifting this if I can help it, unless I'm like higher, geez Louise, traffic, unless I'm higher in the gears, let's say going to fourth or fifth or sixth, then I can short shift and you're not going to have any of that weird rev hang. But I like revving 3,000 to 4,000 RPM in daily traffic. It gets the vehicle going. You're just going to have to wait before you get into the next gear. You got to have the revs drop in order for it to smoothly go into the next gear, in order to not have any jerkiness go on. So for example, there it is. It's like a 1.5 second count from first to second and second to third if you want this thing to shift smoothly at revs higher than about 3,000 RPM. And I like it. It slows me down. It makes me focus more on fuel economy. Here's an older SI. That's going to be a naturally aspirated SI there. Was that a 9th gen? Also, they added for this 25 model year is that we have, you can auto rev match from second to first. I rarely do it. I don't like downshifting into first unless I can help it. I just pop it into neutral as I'm slowing down. So yeah, it's cool to have it, I guess. It probably protects the transmission if you're not rev matching yourself. Auto rev matching is great. It's RX just braking in the middle of the road, even though they have that long run up there. And then we have, it told me I needed to brake there. Luckily, it didn't intrude with the braking. It just kind of flashed the braking, which is, I'm sure you can still disable. And so this is, I feel like this is a very accurate real world review. I just dropped off the kids to school, and I'm stuck in essentially rush hour traffic here at 8 o'clock. And driving this is, it's still a pleasure. It never becomes a chore. The only time it becomes a chore is if it's literally like traffic jam. And then you're just feathering the clutch and then off of first gear and then into neutral over and over and over. I have to do that for car line, so I prefer not to be in a manual transmission when I'm doing car line picking up the kids. But in normal city traffic like this, that's not like bumper to bumper. It's never a chore. It's still fun to be in this car. And I'm just cruising around here in fourth gear, downshift into third, pedal down. Still have a little rev hang from third to fourth, but I often skip fifth gear in this car because fourth gets me up to speed, and then I'm just lazy and I skip fifth and go right to sixth to cruise. So there you go. I don't know if that's a fuel economy tip or just a lazy tip, but I have noticed that when I have the AC on, it is a noticeable drop in fuel economy. It probably is a 2 to 3 mile per gallon hit, I would say, depending on how much I'm cranking it, of course. But even if it's on versus off, I still see a difference, at least with the computer here on fuel economy. So again, I'm getting about, well, if I drive it pretty conservative, a little over 30 miles per gallon in town. We will test that here once we get to a gas pump to see what kind of fuel economy I'm actually getting here on the Civic Si. Now, in the past, I don't know if they updated the computers, and I've actually never pump verified, and I love the brakes in here, my gosh. I've never pump verified fuel economy on a Civic Si. And so I feel like before the refresh here, it was very optimistic. I feel like it would be telling me 35 to 40 miles per gallon. And so I just assumed it was getting that good of fuel economy. But on this post refresh here, it's never been anywhere close to that optimistic. Like I said, the very best I've seen in town, at least according to the computer, is about 35 miles per gallon. what are some other things? I mentioned how comfortable the seats are. I have good visibility in here. Windows are large. I don't have any blind spots. The engine is incredibly smooth. Go figure, it's a Honda. Super smooth engine at all RPMs. Even when you're at a stop, it's a very smooth idling 4-cylinder. And then you have the start-stop engine technology, which isn't too abrupt in here, and I don't mind having it enabled. I haven't had any issues in town with noise. I know I've driven these on the highway before. They are a bit loud, these Civic Si's, but in town, I mean, I have trucks around me and stuff. This thing is still very quiet. I'm never annoyed with ambient noises outside of the cabin. So when I drove this at the press event in Tennessee, I was just so surprised how solid this car feels, how premium it feels. Yes, I know some of the materials maybe aren't the most premium feeling, but in terms of the build quality and the solidity this car has and communicates to the driver, it's a very premium driving experience. And it's comfortable. So I have that going for me as well. I mean, these seats are they as comfortable as like the Type R's? In a different way. Like the Type R's hug you more. I do like those seats a lot, especially if I was pushing the car hard. But these seats fit this car perfectly. I feel like the SI, they're supportive, cushy at the same time. They're fantastic. Even though they're cloth, I mean, I prefer to be in cloth seats more times than not, being down here in South Florida, even if they're ventilated, because cloth is just, it breathes so much better, and they don't overheat in the sun down here. Okay, so trip A is what we started on. It's saying we got 28.8 miles per gallon over the last 123.9 miles. So let's divide 123.9 divided by how much fuel do we put in there? 4.535 gallons. Only 27 miles per gallon here. Only 27 miles per gallon on the Honda Civic Si here for 2025. It's within a mile per gallon and a half of what the computer's saying. So the computer's overestimating here. So that's, I mean, 27.3 miles per gallon is not what I was hoping for. So that brings in a new question here. If handling is important to you, you can get, let's say, 90% of the handling in the new Civic Hybrid. The tires there are more like lower resistance tires. This has the sticky summer tires, for example, or you can get it with the sticky summer tires if you want. We're going to do a no-no here, and we're going to cut through. Guys, don't be judging me. We're going to cut through because I'm all about shortcuts if you can get them. It's 27 miles per gallon. I'm driving a manual in town. Carline probably took out at least a mile per gallon or two, minimum, I would say. So that has something to do with it. When I'm just, feathering the throttle, the engine can never turn off. I'm just sitting there idling literally for like maybe 15-20 minutes a day. So I picked up the kids in this maybe 3 or 4 times. So that adds up. That's about an hour of idling that has brought down the fuel economy to about 27 miles per gallon. If I was in a hybrid, yes, it would bring down the fuel economy, but not nearly as drastic as we see here on the Si. So, wow. Okay, so I was expecting better fuel economy. And now that we're only getting about 27 to 30 miles per gallon, I would say, driving in town, I think the Civic Hybrid is going to be pulling at a lot of people. You still get all the practicality of this car, or the Si, I should say. You're going to be getting like double the fuel economy in town. And I'm not joking. Like, it should be able to get over 50 miles per gallon in town on that Civic Hybrid. It's not going to handle as well. It's not going to be as engaging as a manual. But hybrids, to me, are pretty darn engaging because you're always gaming the fuel economy video game. It's essentially a real-life video game. There's a nice Lamborghini Urus. I don't know if you guys see that. Or if you guys want to call it Urus. I don't like calling it Urus. That's kind of like the American way to say that car's name. It sounds like urine to me. So anyways, I say Urus. This is how you would say it in Italian. But anyways, I'm sure you guys, some of you will have some opinions about that down below. Here's the thing. This is essentially the same price as the hybrids. Would I be getting this over the hybrids? Well, for me, driving mainly in town, honestly, I'd probably get the hybrid over the Civic Si. I can't believe I'm saying that. But this car is so good, though, at the same time. It's more fun. I will say this. It's more fun than the Civic Hybrid. However, the Civic Hybrid, I mean, it's faster than this. Like, I don't enjoy pushing this car to its limits, at least on the engine. The handling, of course. But, like, because of the rev hang and being punished for shifting fast, the Civic Hybrid is not only faster, it's more fuel efficient, and it's not going to punish you for wanting to drive fast. You're just going to be punished with slightly worse fuel economy. So you really have to wait out the revs dropping if you want to rev past. Okay, Paula, which lane are you going to pick? Yeah, so there you have it, 27 miles per gallon Civic Si. I'm glad it's still around. It still is fun to drive as the pre-refresh, I would say. But it is more refined. So the ride quality is better here than the pre-refresh. The rigidity, just how solid this vehicle feels, is better than the pre-refresh. But now that the Civic Hybrid's around for around the same price, you're essentially getting this car that's faster. It handles almost as well. It's just not, you don't have to deal with the pros and the cons of a manual transmission, which I know it's two different audiences. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people who are interested in the Si, especially dads who want to have a fun driving, engaging car, they might just go for the Civic Hybrid instead of the Civic Si. Honestly, it would be a coin flip. It depends the mood I'm in, which car I would rather have. But I'd be going to the gas station half as often, which is a nice perk on the hybrid. And it is faster, and it doesn't punish you for wanting to go fast like this car does with the rev hang. So I'm going to end it there. The Honda Civic Si is still one of the best enthusiast cars out there. It's probably the best family enthusiast car or sedan for around $30,000. This is like hardly anything that competes with it nowadays. I mean, coin flip between this and the Civic Hybrid. I'll see you guys in the comments below which you would be picking. This beautiful manual transmission. I haven't even talked about how, other than the rev hang, because that's what sticks out to me, what does it do well? Well, the gearbox here is just so precise and rewarding and smooth. The auto rev matching downshifts are just fantastic. I mean, this is just a really good manual, and as long as you're not in a hurry, it's really engaging and buttery smooth. But when you're in a sports car, you want to be able to push it hard sometimes through the gears, slam it through the gears, and it just kind of punishes you for that with its rev hang. So anyways, no car is perfect. That's the only thing on the Si that I can complain about, and so I just talk about it over and over because that's the one thing I would change. And maybe you can change it with an ECU flash, but if you're just taking your time rolling through the gears, it is so it's a pleasurable experience. It's so much fun. And it's, like I said, the shifter here is just butter. So, all right, I got to shut it down. I can't wait to see you in the comments on what you'll be picking, a Civic Hybrid over this Si. You can't go wrong with either, honestly. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay tuned for more Honda updates. By the way, I will be going to CES this year, or should I say in just a few months. It's in January, so technically it's next year. Regardless, I'll be going to CES to show you guys what Honda's revealing with their new 0 Series EVs. I kind of gave you guys a preview and a driving experience of those 0 Series EVs and the technology when I was in Japan about a month ago. So check out that video and my impressions of Honda 0 Series EVs. And more of that will be coming on the channel soon in January, I'll be bringing you some reveals. We have the Honda Passport reveal by the end of the year. I'm really excited for that. And on the Acura side, we'll have the ADX reveal by the end of the year. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great one, and peace.